Welcome to Science Pills.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, today we're exploring the classified, mysterious, and honestly awe-inspiring innovations of Nikola Tesla.
A man who literally electrified the world.
Exactly. And the mission of this deep dive is to really sift through a fascinating stack of sources we've got in front of us. We're looking at Tesla's own autobiography, which is called My Inventions, along with declassified FBI files, PBS historical records, and a huge list of his patents. Our goal is to uncover the truth behind his death ray.
Right, the Teleforce.
Yeah, and his world system,
Right.
and the enduring mystery of 20 missing trunks of his research. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's a massive topic, and for those of you listening, why should you care about this specific stack of documents? Well, it's because Tesla isn't just the guy who gave us the AC motor.
Right.
As we go through this, you'll see he actually envisioned the wireless internet, directed energy weapons, and global power grids. And he did this over a century ago.
It's wild.
You're going to learn how the modern world was shaped by ideas that people back then considered total crackpot theories. And maybe most importantly, how some of his most dangerous ideas might still be classified.
Locked in some government vault.
Exactly.
It is truly mind-bending when you read his autobiography. Because to understand the inventions, you really have to understand his brain.
His very unorthodox brain.
Yeah. In My Inventions, he describes his early life in this incredibly vivid, almost hallucinatory way. He had this peculiar affliction. Or, well, a gift, really.
He saw vivid images.
Right, accompanied by these strong flashes of light.
Yeah, and he insisted these weren't just imaginations, they were pictures of things he'd actually seen, thrusting themselves in front of his eyes, so vivid he sometimes couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't.
What's fascinating here is how this hypersensory perception fed into his unique engineering process.
Yeah, because most inventors, they build crude physical prototypes, they tinker, they fail.
Brute force.
Right. Like Thomas Edison. Edison was famous for just trial and error.
Sweating it out in the shop.
But Tesla, he never built crude prototypes. Because his visualizations were so intense, he built and tested his turbines entirely in his imagination.
Which sounds impossible. I mean, I read that part and I was like, come on.
I know. He claimed he could even tell if a turbine was out of balance just by running it in his mind.
Right. No physical testing at all.
But his patent record kind of backs it up. He held over 300 patents, and his first try diagrams were usually flawless. His mind was essentially a CAD program before computers existed.
But there was a dark side to that brain, right? It was a biological machine that he pushed way too far.
Oh, absolutely.
Like his intense illness in Budapest.
Right. He pushed himself to the absolute brink studying.
And he suffered what doctors back then called a nervous breakdown. But the way he describes it...
The hypersensitivity.
Yeah, it was agonizing. He wrote that his hearing became 13 times more sensitive.
Which is hard to even fathom.
He could hear a fly land in his room, and he said it sounded like a dull thud. A train vibrating 20 miles away made his chair shake so violently it caused unbearable pain.
He had to put his bed on rubber cushions, didn't he?
Yeah, just to stop the vibrations from the ground.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just sound. He said the sun's rays, if they were intercepted by a passing carriage, the shifting light would cause physical blows to his brain.
He was basically living without any biological filters. Every stimulus was at maximum volume.
Exactly. But he did recover. And it was right after this awful sensory crucible that he had his true eureka moment. The moment he solved the AC motor problem.
The famous walk in the park?
Yes. Sunset in Budapest.
Yeah.
Walking with a friend. He's reciting Goethe's Faust from memory, of course.
Naturally.
And suddenly, the idea hits him. He grabs a stick and draws the diagram of the rotating magnetic field right there in the sand.
He could see the whole thing perfectly in his mind.
Right. But let's contextualize this with the current's war source.
Yeah.
Because to understand why that drawing in the sand mattered, we have to talk about Thomas Edison and direct current.
DC. Yeah. So Edison's DC flows in one direction. And to make a motor spin with DC, you need a commutator.
A mechanical switch.
Right. Metal brushes rubbing against a spinning cylinder. It causes massive friction, heat, and dangerous sparks.
And Edison was fully invested in that.
Oh, totally. Fun little detail from the sources, by the way. Before they were bitter rivals, Tesla worked for Edison. And Edison once correctly guessed Tesla's weight at exactly 142 pounds.
How did he know that?
Because Edison used to work in a Chicago slaughterhouse, manually weighing thousands of hogs every day.
That is such a gritty contrast to Tesla reciting poetry in a park.
Exactly. But back to the motor. Tesla's alternating current naturally reverses direction. By feeding slightly out-of-step AC into a circle of coils, he created a magnetic field that physically rotated on its own.
A frictionless engine.
No brushes, no sparks, just a spinning magnetic whirlpool. And when George Westinghouse bought Tesla's patents, the currents war really kicked off.
And Edison fought so dirty. Our sources talk about how he tried to prove AC was dangerous by literally electrocuting animals in public. Yeah, a brutal PR campaign.
But AC won out. Why?
Because of distance. You couldn't transmit DC over long distances efficiently. But with William Stanley's new transformer, you could step AC voltage way up, send it hundreds of miles on cheap wire, and step it down safely.
It was the polyphase system that made the global grid possible.
Exactly.
So Tesla essentially wins the power war. Most guys would retire. But here's where it gets really interesting. He scales up. Let's talk about the X-ray footnote.
This is a great detail.
Because everyone credits Röntgen in 1895. But our sources show Tesla was experimenting with X-rays in 1894.
Using his vacuum tubes and Tesla coils.
He took a shadowgraph of his own foot, and you could clearly see the metal pieces of his shoe, the eyelets and nails, right through his flesh.
He was incredibly prophetic about the medical uses, too. He immediately realized you could use it to spot lung disease or foreign objects in the body.
But he also saw the hazards. He documented hair loss, swelling, and severe pain from the radiation.
Though he got the cause wrong.
Yeah.
Right, he blamed the ozone in the air, not the rays themselves. But he still tried to build early aluminum shields to protect himself.
Which shows he understood the practical applications of invisible energy waves better than almost anyone. And that obsession with invisible waves led him out west.
To Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
1899.
He needed a specific environment. He moved there because the thinner air at high altitude was more conductive.
And he got $30,000 from Colonel John Jacob Astor to fund it.
A massive fortune back then.
To build this bizarre laboratory right out on the prairie, picture this. An 80-foot wooden tower. A roof that actually rolled back on track so the building wouldn't catch fire.
From the sparks.
Yeah. And a 142-foot metal mast with a copper ball on top.
The goal was to test if he could use the Earth as a giant conductor. He wanted to create man-made lightning to pump energy into the ground.
And the descriptions of the experiment are terrifying. He creates bolts of lightning over 100 feet long, blinding blue coronas. The thunder was heard 15 miles away.
And he pushed it so hard, he burned out the El Paso Electric Company's dynamo.
Blacked out the entire city.
Yeah, the power company was not happy. He had to pay for the repairs himself.
But the science he pulled from it was incredible.
Wow.
He found the Earth was, in his words, literally alive with electrical vibrations.
Right. He calculated the resonant frequency of the Earth ionosphere cavity. He figured it out to be roughly 8 hertz.
And he did that with pencil and paper in 1899. The PBS records point out that science didn't actually prove that correct until the 1950s.
It's a Schumann resonance.
Exactly. But it gets even crazier. He's out there alone, listening to his equipment, and he picks up a repeating signal. 1, 2, 3.
And he genuinely believed he was detecting radio waves from outer space.
Maybe Mars or Venus. People mocked him for it. But our sources say he likely was the first man to pick up natural radio waves from space or Jupiter's plasma torus.
He was doing radio astronomy before the field existed?
Unbelievable. So he takes all this data back to New York. He is fully convinced he can transmit power and information wirelessly. Which brings us to Wardenclyffe,
The world system.
1901 to 1905, out on Long Island. This is his grand vision.
And if you look at the components of his world system, it is absolutely mind-blowing. He basically predicted the smartphone and the internet.
Let's read through what he promised. Interconnecting all existing telegraph and telephone exchanges.
A global network.
Cheap clocks that keep astronomical precision automatically. World printing of typed characters and images.
Fax and email.
And the hardware way. He described a receiver, not bigger than a watch, that would let you listen to music or speeches anywhere on Earth.
He was describing a smartphone in 1901.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the data was just half of it. The main goal was transmitting electrical power wirelessly.
By capturing the Earth's natural energy.
Right, so you could stick an antenna in the dirt in the middle of the desert and run a factory or irrigate crops anywhere on the globe.
But the downfall was brutal. He exceeded his resources. J.P. Morgan was funding him, but Morgan wanted a return on his investment.
He wanted a monopoly on transatlantic radio, not free energy for the world.
So Morgan cut the funding. And to pay his hotel debts, Tesla's magnificent tower was dynamited and sold for scrap iron in 1917.
I want you listening to just imagine that. Having the internet mapped out in 1901 and watching it get torn down for scrap metal.
It's tragic, but the site still has secrets. In 2017, ground-penetrating radar found hundreds of feet of mysterious tunnels underneath the Wardenclyffe site.
Nobody knows exactly what they were for, but while Wardenclyffe was happening, he was also working on teleautomatics.
A remote control boat.
1898. He debuts this watertight submersible boat at Madison Square Garden. He controls it entirely with wireless signals.
It was so unbelievable that the patent examiner actually refused to grant the patent without seeing it. He had to travel from Washington to New York just to verify it wasn't a trick.
Because he couldn't comprehend invisible waves steering a physical object?
And Tesla was brilliant about it. He used loop receivers in the hull to avoid atmospheric static and interference. He wanted these machines to act with their own intelligence.
And this is where the military aspect comes in. He proposed building missiles devoid of sustaining planes.
No wings.
Right, propelled entirely by reaction that you could drop thousands of miles away.
So what does this all mean? It means he was conceptualizing drones and cruise missiles.
Which leads us directly to the Teleforce, the death ray.
Right. His philosophy on war had really shifted over his life. Originally, he thought the unlimited destructiveness of these remote weapons would actually abolish war.
Because it removes the personal element of combat.
Exactly. It just becomes machines destroying machines. But later, he realized that wouldn't work. He decided war wouldn't end until distance and communication barriers were completely annihilated.
But with global conflict looming in the 1930s, he designed the Teleforce as an ultimate defensive shield.
It was a macro-particle beam weapon.
Accelerating clusters of microscopic particles, like tungsten, to the speed of light. He said it could melt a fleet of 10,000 airplanes at 250 miles away.
Now, to be clear to you listening, our sources contain historical documents showing how the military and FBI seriously looked at these concepts later on.
Especially regarding the SDI, the Star Wars program under Reagan.
And we're just impartially reporting what the FBI files and historical records state here. We aren't taking any political stance on defense policies.
We're just following the paper trail.
Yeah.
And that trail explodes in 1943.
January 1943.
Tesla is 86 years old. He dies alone in the Hotel New Yorker, plagued by debt.
It's the height of World War II. The U.S. government is terrified of this death ray technology falling into enemy hands.
So the Office of Alien Property immediately swoops in and seizes all his documents, his trunks, everything.
They bring in Dr. John G. Trump from MIT to evaluate the papers.
And Dr. Trump dismisses them. He writes that they are strictly speculative, philosophical, and promotional.
He says there are no workable principles.
But the sources show the military was completely split on this. A group at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base heavily disagreed with Trump.
Brigadier General L.C. Craigie, who was the military's first jet pilot, was part of that group. They looked at the directed energy concepts and stated there's something to this. The particle beam weapon is real.
Which is a massive contradiction. This raises an important question, especially when we get to the missing trunks.
Oh, the trunks.
The FBI originally recorded 80 trunks of Tesla's effects in their custody. But his nephew, Sava Kosanovic, fought to get the estate back for Yugoslavia.
The ambassador, right.
Yeah. He finally won the estate in 1952. But when the shipment arrived at the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, there were only 60 trunks.
20 trunks just vanished while under strict government custody.
I mean, what was in those 20 missing trunks? Did the government keep them? Are they the actual foundation for modern particle beam weapons?
It's one of the greatest mysteries in science.
It really is. And it ties into a very strange personal philosophy he had at the end of his life.
The automaton theory.
Yes. In his autobiography, he states he firmly believed humans were automata.
Entirely controlled by outside forces.
Right. He didn't believe in free will at all. He thought we just mistook our reactions to external stimuli as our own independent thoughts.
And he experienced what he called cosmic pain.
This is so bizarre. He claimed that if someone he loved was hurt unfairly, he would feel a literal, undefinable cosmic pain in his own body.
But he didn't think it was supernatural or telepathic.
No, he thought it was a highly developed mechanical sense, like his biological machine was detecting faults in the machines of other human beings.
Even with his own mother's death.
That story is heartbreaking. He's exhausted, resting in a building nearby. He falls asleep and sees a cloud carrying angelic figures.
And one of them takes the shape of his mother.
Right before a telegram arrives, saying she had just passed away.
But even then, he refused to believe in the supernatural. He insisted it was just an automatism of life, his mechanical senses reacting to the environment.
A completely rigid, mechanical view of the universe.
It's a heavy way to view the world.
It is. Okay, let's step back and summarize this. We've gone from a man visualizing AC motors in his mind and building a frictionless engine,
To creating 100-foot lightning bolts in Colorado.
to drawing up the actual blueprint for the wireless internet and smartphones, only to watch it get sold for scrap metal.
And leaving behind a legacy of classified beam weapons and missing government files.
That's an incredible story.
It really is. And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Tesla once wrote, "When wireless is fully applied, the Earth will be converted into a huge brain."
Wow.
Given his strict belief in human automatism and his experience of cosmic pain, if those 20 missing trunks are ever found, might they contain more than just weapon schematics?
You mean like...
Might they contain the actual blueprints for connecting human consciousness to that global, vibrating electrical brain?
That is a terrifying and amazing thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you. We'll see you next time.